So I'm a teacher. I run Cryptoverse.com, so I'm a teacher something. So this is a talk I wrote, which is for when I go to Portugal, which is, I'm going to something called the Infinite Man Summit, where they teach you all about like health, wellness, investing, all this sort of stuff. So you're getting to see this before that crowd. So I'm actually going to teach you a system that I designed that will take you from knowing nothing about crypto to getting up and running, investing in it as quickly as possible. So if you don't like that idea, you can leave, but it's a good one. So let me just get my clicker working here. This is actually this is a one-day workshop I did in London about 3 or 4 weeks ago, which I charged 1,250 quid a head for, and I've compacted it down into a 20-minute talk. So if it seems like it's going really, really quick and I'm covering a lot of ground, that's because it was a full one-day workshop. So you're getting 1,250 quid worth of value for free. Yippee. So you can thank Mohammed for that, because if you'd have turned up, you wouldn't have got it. So here we go. This is primarily based on Ethereum, all right? So the reason for this is because Ethereum right now has the biggest community. It has the widest adoption, wallets. Most ICOs, which this system is based on, are built on Ethereum. And because of that, it has tons and tons of investment opportunities. Like multiple dozens of ICOs per day are launched on Ethereum. And also, because it's on Ethereum, you only need one wallet to store all the various coins that you might want to invest in, right? As long as they're based on Ethereum. So you need one Ethereum wallet that's compatible with the ERC20 standard, and then whatever coins you buy, you can store them all in a single wallet, right? And also because of that, there's a lot of money in Ethereum. It's the second most capitalized coin. It's easy to get your money in, and it's easy to get your money out. So when you're investing in ICOs in particular, you'll use Ethereum as the currency that you buy whatever crypto it is, and then when you sell them, you get Ethereum in return, which you can then turn back into British pounds if you want to. But I'll get into that in just a bit. Now, if you want to scare yourself half to death, there's this site called Demonocracy.info. And in the workshop, I actually go into this, but you can look at this in your own time. But this here, it starts off with one of these little slivers. That looks like buildings, but it's actually stacks of $100 bills. So there's a jumbo jet there, right? So it starts off with like a little tiny stack of $100 bills and shows you this is what $1,000 looks like. And then there's like a crate full of it. It's like this is $1 million, average size of a man type of thing. And then gradually it builds this picture up that shows like the derivatives market and the size of the gold market. So that's $7 trillion, which is the size of the gold market in its entirety. And then you've got the stock market and eventually derivatives, which is many, many, many trillions of dollars. And the reason I put that in this presentation is because if people think 250 billion in the crypto market is a lot, or even what was the highest we ever got, like 600 or 700 billion, that's absolutely tiny, right? If you plotted crypto on here, it would be one of these little diddy things right here, right? So if you go on Demonocracy, it will walk you through that process of this is what $1,000 looks like, and then it builds it up, builds it up, builds it up, builds it up. And by the end of it, you should be going, because the derivatives market, which isn't based on any tangible value, is just something that has its value derived from something else, derived from something else, derived from something else, which eventually may be based on something physical, like a bar of gold. But you have a piece of gold, and then you have a paper contract for some gold, and then you have something built on top of that, built on top of that, built on top of that, right? And that was back to 2008 financial crisis. There was all kinds of fancy financial instruments that were like black boxes of investments. Like, there's a bit of gold in there, there's collateralized debt obligations, there might be some mortgages and some loans in there and so on. And these products were sold to like local authorities because they had pension plans and so on. And the Wall Streeters would say, right, buy this collateralized debt obligation. It's got a whole basket of value in it, but it was toxic, right? And then the municipalities were left holding the baby. Anyway, that's not important. So what you'll need is one of these. This is a DigitalBitBox hardware wallet, which you can get direct from the manufacturer at digitalbitbox.com. So I selected this for this particular system because it's super simple. It looks like a USB memory stick. It has no screen on it. And all you do is there's a little touch-sensitive button on this end of it. So whenever you want to confirm an action, you just press and hold it for 3 seconds. If you want to reject a transaction, you just dab it like that. So whenever you've got the desktop wallet open and you want to send some Ethereum or some Bitcoin, you'll either say, press and hold for 3 seconds and it will confirm the transaction, or you dab it, and that will cancel it, right? And this is where you'll store all of your Ethereum and your ERC20 tokens. So it's made in Switzerland, so Swiss ideals, quality and privacy and simplicity. And it's almost foolproof. You know, someone said earlier on, this crypto thing's never going to work as long as it's advanced technology, and then we have to write down these 14 words or these 12 words, and then if you lose the piece of paper, you're pretty much screwed. Well, you'll notice something popping out of this. You see this? That's an SD memory card, which is just like what you would get in a digital camera, right? So you would never see the seed, the recovery phrase for this wallet. The first time you initialize it, it will generate yourself a recovery phrase, and it will save it on the little memory card, but you never see it. So once you've set it up the first time, which takes 5 minutes, you pull the chip out, put it back in its little plastic case, and then put it in a safe somewhere. Because if you lose this device, or it dies, or whatever, you just buy another one of these, reinsert the chip, and your money comes back. So technically what this is doing, it's storing your private key and signing the transactions. And I like the word signing, it's because cryptocurrency transactions are kind of like writing checks, right? The private key to your personal signature is in your head, right? You know how to move your muscles in such a way that that's your signature. It's not perfect in the real world because it's easy to forge. You know, if you, with enough practice, you know, I could forge your signature, you could forge mine, right? And that's happened a lot of times. Whereas you can't forge a digital signature. But, so this is what this does. The signature is the algorithms inside the device, and whenever you propose a transaction, it signs the check, but the transaction's only valid for that one transaction to that person you're paying for that amount of money, and if you change anything on the check, it's no longer valid, right? So that's what that device will do for you in a technical sense. What I also recommend you do is buy one of these. This is what I use personally. So that's the Amazon product code. This is a safe. It's a fireproof safe, waterproof safe. It's got a seal in it, all the rest of it. This is where you would put that chip, which is where I put the chip. So I get the chip from my DigitalBitBox, which has my recovery phrase on it. I put it in this, and then I store it at my friend's house. So even if you knew where I lived, it's not in my house, right? You'd have to know which friend it was and where they lived, right? So I'll give you a sec for that. If anyone wants the slides, I'll give you that as well. So it's 110 quid, but if you're going to start building up tens of thousands or potentially hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of wealth in crypto, you're best investing 110 quid in one of these, and the DigitalBitBox, which is like 60 quid. So that's your insurance policy. What I also want you to do is install these two pieces of software. One is called Roboform. It's a password manager. So what you really want to do for every single service you use, Coinbase, you know, blockchain.info, whatever services you use, I really want you to create a different password for each one. So this is the Google Chrome plugin for Roboform. So whenever I sign up for a new account with an exchange or whatever, I click this button, and it creates one of those really complicated passwords. It almost looks like a Bitcoin wallet address with all the letters, numbers, uppercase, lowercase, hash symbol, percentage symbol, and all the rest of it. But not only does it generate it for you, it'll also remember them all, right? So you have one master password that you can remember that locks your Roboform, and then it encrypts all of the pass cards, it calls them, which are kind of like little index cards, and on the top of it, it says Coinbase, and then username and password. And then it saves that pass card in its little database. So I've got Roboform on this computer, and every time you start the computer up, you have to unlock the Roboform, and then whenever you go to a site, actually it's on here. Whenever I navigate to, say, Google Mail, it's suggesting a number of pass cards that may apply. So I've actually got 3 different logins for a Google account here. And if I were on, say, Google Mail, I would just have to click on this particular pass card, and it would insert the username and the password for me and click submit. So bottom line is, this is a way of making sure that every service you use has a unique password. And the benefit of that is, say if Equifax gets hacked and someone knows your username and password, the breach is limited to that one service. As opposed to, if you use the same username and password for everything, one of them gets breached and they can log into everything else that you've got. So that's why I want you to create a unique username and password for everything, especially when you're in crypto. So also, the other thing you'll need is something called MetaMask. So this is also a wallet. So I know we just talked about DigitalBitBox. So that's like your vault. MetaMask is a software wallet, and there's a reason why you want 2 of them. So if you go to MetaMask.io, that's the original developers of the MetaMask plugin. It also plugs into Google Chrome. You might notice that this little screenshot, the little green robot is the Roboform, but right next to that is MetaMask. It's got a fox sort of icon. So if you install that Chrome extension, MetaMask will ask, create a password. So now you know to create a unique one with Roboform. And Roboform will also let you save basically any amount of text and encrypt it. So that's the difference between a pass card, which is one of these, that has a username and password in it, and a safe note, which is basically just a little text file that Roboform saves in an encrypted format. So any other info you might want to save in a safe way, you can put it in a safe note. It's probably why they called it that, right? So MetaMask, again, because it's a brand new Ethereum wallet, it'll give you another 12-word phrase. So I would suggest you encrypt that in Roboform as well, which is simply creating a text file in Roboform and saving it. So then what you want to do is bookmark this thing, which is etherscan.io. So I put that in your browser bookmarks, and I would also recommend, just for sake of organization, you create a bookmarks folder called crypto, where you put everything in, and all other websites to relate to crypto. What that will allow you to do is inspect the contents of any Ethereum wallet. Ethereum's a public network, so as long as you have an Ethereum wallet address, you can plug it into Etherscan. It's kind of like a search engine, really, for Ethereum. If you plugged my Ethereum wallet address into Etherscan, you'd be able to see all the coins that I own, right? You would have to know that was my address, but the point is, if you knew what the address was, you can see the contents of it. How I actually use this, I actually used it this morning. My hardware wallet is at home. So when I wanted to buy some coins this morning, I was like, what do you do? Well, I've already bookmarked the page on Etherscan that relates to my wallet. It's just like etherscan.io/the address, basically. So I've bookmarked that page, right? So all I had to do was buy the coin I wanted to buy, go to my browser bookmarks, find the address, and then give it to the exchange that I bought the coins from, right? So every Ethereum wallet, every Bitcoin wallet has the public address, like your email address, you give that to everybody. That allows you to receive coins but not send them. So it's all right for me to publish that address anywhere, but it's also handy that I can actually receive coins without actually having my hardware wallet. Does that make sense? Put your hand in the air if that makes sense. Yeah? You can give your email address to everybody, but without the password, which is like the private key, you can't send. So even if I actually displayed my Ethereum address up there, that would allow you all to send me some Ethereum-based coins, but you couldn't take any out of it. The next tool you need is something called MyEther Wallet. So I describe this as like a sock puppet. If you threw the sock on the floor, it's just inanimate, right? Someone has to put their hand in the sock puppet and actually work it. So MyEther Wallet kind of works like that. Right now, myetherwallet.com, it's just the sock on the floor. But anyone can drive it, if you like, by putting their hand in it and using it. But as soon as you take your hand out, it just goes back to being dumb software. So MyEther Wallet doesn't store anything, but it does allow you to use it. And you can use that DigitalBitBox I told you about earlier on to sort of be like the hand in the sock puppet. So myetherwallet.com is the address of this site, and it allows you to communicate with the Ethereum networks. If you want to send some Ethereum or receive some coins from an ICO, you can use MyEther Wallet for that. And like I say, number 4 there, it's designed to be driven by your DigitalBitBox. When you visit etherscan.com, it'll say, how do you want to drive the sock puppet? And there'll be a number of different ways you can do it. One of the options is, I want to use my DigitalBitBox, so you can do that. Next thing is, make sure you are on myetherwallet.com. There's been a number of scams where people have registered, say, MyEther Wallet without one of the L's, made it look exactly the same as MyEther Wallet, and then just stolen anyone's coins that tries to use it, right? So that's why I say type it carefully. There's also another Google Chrome plugin you can install called Kryptonite, which is kind of like a little guardian. So if you're on a fake version of a website, this thing will flag it up and say, that kind of looks like MyEther Wallet. I know that looks like Coinbase, but it's not the real one. Look at the web address, right? It's Coinbase with an L instead of an I. So if you're nervous about this kind of stuff, install this Kryptonite MetaSet plugin for Google Chrome, and that'll watch over your shoulder if you're paranoid about that sort of stuff. So again, put this in your bookmarks. you remember, like I said, that MyEther Wallet is like a sock puppet. So you can puppet it with either your DigitalBitBox hardware wallet or the MetaMask wallet that I mentioned a minute ago. I'm going to talk about why we need two wallets in just a sec. So this is what MyEther Wallet looks like. You have your address displayed up there. This is a visual representation of your address. And then over here, it would show all your balances. So if you click this button that says Show All Tokens, you'll see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other currencies that are built on top of Ethereum. So that's a design decision. If you want to launch your own cryptocurrency, you can build an entirely new network if you want, or you can just say, Ethereum's already got all of the technology sorted out. I'll just build a coin on top of that, which is what a lot of these currencies have done. So then, if you want to get your fiat currency into Ethereum, these are my 3 recommended exchanges. Everyone probably knows Coinbase. BitPanda is based out of Austria, and Uphold.com is another good one. These all now support the purchase of cryptocurrency with a debit card and by a bank transaction. So I use all 3 of these for different reasons. And sometimes, like if I don't know, if I reach my purchasing limit on Coinbase of whatever it is a week, and then I can use BitPanda or Uphold, right? And they all pretty much support the major currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, so that should be good enough. And this was, I say, you complete this process today because that was in the actual workshop. But just, you know, the accounts take a couple of days to set up, and that's nothing to do with crypto. There was a lady mentioned this yesterday. The difficulty with getting your money into crypto is not because of crypto. It's because of the existing banking system and how easy it is to defraud people with it. So when you set up any of these accounts and you have to do the KYC thing, which is Know Your Customer Regulations, or AML is anti-money laundering. When you set up any of these accounts, you have to like submit a driver's license or a passport and all that sort of stuff. And that's nothing to do with crypto. That's because it's so easy to launder money in the old economy, right? You wouldn't necessarily have to do that if we started earning money in crypto, or you'd never need to do that because you just earn your Bitcoin and spend your Bitcoin, no problem. But most of our wealth is still in the old economy. So if you want a gateway to convert your fiat into Ethereum, then these are the 3 services that I recommend. And you do need ID for it, which I mentioned. So that's pretty much how the process is going to go. You get your pounds, euros, your dollars. You use Coinbase or any one of the other exchanges to turn it into Ethereum. And that's then the base currency with which you can purchase any number of ICOs or Ethereum-based coins that you happen to believe in. So this is just a point of security. Once you've purchased some Ethereum from Coinbase or BitPanda or Uphold, don't leave it on there, right? As soon as you've bought it, withdraw it to your little DigitalBitBox hardware wallet, right? Which, like we said a minute ago, you'd go to MyEther Wallet, you would drive it with your DigitalBitBox, get your address, go to Coinbase, say withdraw to this address, and then it would send your coins out. Then it's yours. Because crypto is cash, so possession is everything. So that's just a principle. Always withdraw your crypto to your own wallet, because the principle is if you don't hold the key, it's not your money. And if you have a Coinbase account, that's fine, but it's their wallet. It's no better than a bank account where they actually hold the money. Let's just do a time check here. What are we doing? No, I'm doing all right. So that's what I always do. Right after you finish buying some crypto, immediately, once the transaction is complete and you see your Coinbase balance has been credited with one Ether, withdraw it. And you ignore that advice at your peril. So then, once you've got all that, I say this is my Quickstart investing system. You need to go somewhere where you can actually find opportunities or cryptos to invest in. Now, I've designed this as a specific system, so the tools that I've given you are a specific recipe. And like I say there is a lot more you can do. There is a lot more you can do. And people ask me questions, why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it that way? Well, because this is a quick start system for people who going from zero who just want a specific step-by-step process to follow before they start branching out. If you just throw people into the crypto economy and say, go nuts, it's so overwhelming, people just get paralyzed and then they just walk away, right? So I'm just saying, look, just follow this very simple process. And once you're comfortable with using these tools in this order, you can then start branching out from there. But it's always best to start with a set of rules and then branch out from there, right? And that's what I've said there. That's why I focus on Ethereum primarily, because it prevents overwhelm. So I define an ICO, an initial coin offering, as the time when a new cryptocurrency is going to come into existence. So you can imagine that's an ideal time to get into them, because if they solve a real problem in the world and it ends up taking off, well, acquiring some of the first coins ever created is a good opportunity for building your own wealth. And they're very, very easy to get into, because when these coins are launched, you send some Ethereum to the ICO, and then you get whatever coin it is. And you have to be confident, mind you, that whatever coin you are buying from an ICO is going to appreciate faster than Ethereum, because otherwise you're worse off. Does that make sense? Put your hand in the air if that makes sense. Right? Okay, good. I mean, I suppose that's the only reason why we give up British pounds to invest in property, is because we believe the piece of property is going to raise in value faster than the pound. But we know the pound's stable, so it's not going to go up in value a lot, right? So moving on from there, we've heard a lot about smart contracts. I define a smart contract as like a legal agreement that can make its own decisions. So it might say, if we receive some Ethereum from X address, then send some coins back to that address. So the smart contract doesn't really need to know who you are. If it sees 2 Ether come from my address, well, then it sends the whatever Chris Coney coin back to that address. So it's just a single transaction with an automated smart contract. So that's kind of how this works. You have a smart contract over here. We'd use MyEther Wallet to send the Ethereum to the smart contract, and then whatever coin it is, that's the quant stamp logo, which is a particular ICO that I invested in, which is like a virus scanner for smart contracts, because there's been a lot of hacks, and sometimes there's flaws in the code of these smart contracts. So QuantStamp have set up kind of a tool that allows you to scan the code and see if there are any security flaws in it. And I thought, that's a damn fine idea. I'm going to be invested in that one. So then where do you go to find these ICOs? Well, I use this site called ICOalert.com, and it has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of upcoming ICOs listed on them. So go nuts, right? Make sure you read a lot, do a lot of research, never invest more than you could afford to lose, and so on. And this is where you want to look for the Ethereum-based ICOs. Most of them are, but the only reason I put that note there is because this site doesn't just list Ethereum-based coins, it lists ICOs of every kind you can think of. So just make sure when you're reading up on these things that it's an Ethereum-based coin. So if you see the phrase ERC20 token, that's just a standard that all the coins adhere to. It means it's compatible with Ethereum, so you won't go far wrong. It shouldn't be hard to find. Most of them say this is an ERC20 token, right? And that's why we use ERC20, because you can manage everything in one place. Alrighty, next question. How do you tell a good ICO from a bad one? Well, you download my ICO safety checklist, which is at cryptoversity.com/ICO checklist. So this is a PDF file. It has 11 points. It has 11 questions. You ask yourself, like, what's the team's background? Do they solve a real-world problem? And you put ticks down the side, right? And then you look at how many out of 11, and then you say, is this good or bad? You want a perfect score, really, before you even think about putting any money into an ICO. So make sure they get a perfect score on that. Also bookmark this website, ICObench.com. ICO benchmark kind of stands for. So this site uses a combination of AI and Bitcoin and blockchain experts to rate ICOs out of 5, and then they give it an overall score, so make sure you check in and see what score it gets there. Make sure it's a 4 or a 5 star before you even think about investing in it, and it complies with all 11 of my criteria. And then finally, here's another one. This is another Google Chrome extension called Doratus. And again, this will pull in all kinds of information about an ICO from all across the web. So all you have to do is have this running in your Google Chrome, and then visit an ICO's website, click on the plugin, and it will pull in information from ICO Bench and a whole bunch of other ratings sites, and then you can get a quick overview of, is this credible or not? Also watch loads of YouTube reviews from reputable people. Just get as much information as you possibly can. And only the ones you feel confident in should you invest in. I mean, there's no shortage of opportunity, so never succumb to the fear of missing out. Let it go. If you've got any fear or doubt whatsoever, let it go. There'll be another one and another one. So just wait for the ones that are like really solid projects, and then only invest a small amount. So then what happens after you've invested? Well, keep your eye on your email inbox. The projects that communicate often and well It's a good sign. And also what you want to look for is when, usually ICOs run for 30 days, so you have to pledge your money within that 30-day period. And assuming the ICO meets its minimum fundraising criteria, which might be 1,000 Ether or whatever it is, assuming it meets its minimum. If it doesn't, you get your money back. If it does meet its minimum, then the coins are issued to you. Then if you want to actually cash out, if you like, the project should automatically send the tokens to whatever address you sent your Ethereum from in the first place. But finally, when the coins get listed on an exchange, that's when you can sell them and then get more Ethereum back than you pledged in the first place. That's the goal anyway. And then you can go back through that process we talked about to turn your Ether back into pounds, euros, or dollars. And if you want to track the performance of your token or whatever, this is actually my current favorite app. It's called getdelta.io. The reason I use that is because they're really hot on listing new coins. And you can put it on your phone, put it on your desktop. It syncs in the cloud so you can track your portfolio wherever you go. So you put in there, you'd say, like, I just sent 1 Ethereum to the Indahash ICO, and I got this many coins. And then it will tell you, is it up or down in dollars or whatever, right? So when you want to take your profit, that will tell you when. So that's pretty much that whole workshop in 20 minutes. So if you want to follow me on any of the social networks, you can do it right there. I know that was like a fire hose, but I did warn you. It was a full day's workshop in 20 minutes. So if you got any questions, let me know. Any questions? Millions? None? You got a question, mate?
If you did a bit of research and there was an ICO that you were interested in, and you bought some tokens using Ethereum, if it doesn't hit an exchange.
Right. If you invested in an ICO and the coin doesn't end up going on an exchange, right?
How can you catch that?
That's a problem, because then you can't sell them, can you? Right. You'd have to find someone to buy them off you, but that's the purpose of an exchange, is to bring buyers and sellers together, right? So that's, that's a potential risk. That is a potential risk. Good question. Anybody else got a question? Sir?
So I actually was checking on your website for the ICO checklist. That link is broken right now, and also I'm wondering.
I think that's because you need a / on the end. Because I don't list it with the / on the end. I need to fix that, but I think it does actually work. Let's go back. It should look like that. I shortened the URL because it's a long old Google link, but that's what it looks like. So questions like, is it clear how the project's going to make money? Because if it doesn't make money, you're not going to get any money back, right? Is it clear how contributors will be paid back? Are they targeting a clear market? Do they have a well-rounded team? This is a good one, number 6. Does the team have relevant experience? If you've got an architect that's starting a gambling business, that's a no-go area. That's one of the laws from the book The Richest Man in Babylon, where he said I think he's a textile merchant, comes to the protagonist and says, I'm going after this far land and I'm going to buy all these jewels and come back, we're going to make a fortune, right? So he goes, great, here's all my money, off he goes, comes back, they're made of glass, they're worthless. The moral of that story is, why would you trust the textile merchant with jewels, right? If he said, there's this fine cloth from afar, you think, well, he's got the expertise, right? I'll trust him with that. But the fact that he had no expertise in the area that he was about to invest in, bad idea. So if you've seen someone who's been worked for Betfair for 20 years and then wants to start a gambling blockchain, better, right? So these all make logical sense. And these aren't just for ICOs. These are just sort of good investing principles all around. Try fact-checking the information that they provide, right? Can you find an alternative source for all of the claims they're making? So if someone says, I've worked for Betfair for 20 years, well, check their LinkedIn profile, right? See if they've got any endorsements from other people to prove that. You know what I mean? Things like that. Or this is why I like companies that are based in the UK, because you can go to company's house and you can look up the list of directors. And if it doesn't match the list of directors on their website, that's a red flag. But if it does match the list of directors, that's a point for them, right? Anyway, sorry, mate. Did you have a good question other than the link's broken?
Oh, yeah. Also, why would you recommend a DigitalBitBox over a Trezor or a Ledger?
It's simpler.
A DigitalBitBox, and they've only been in business for about 3 or 4 months.
No, I think that's true.
It's their website that was only registered on January 25th of this year.
Yeah, Shift Devices AG is the company. So I think that was their website beforehand. They've just launched a new website. So Shift Devices is the, what they were trading under previously. Say again?
What's the advantage of it compared to that?
It's simpler.
Is it?
A lot simpler. It doesn't have a screen on it. It has the chip for the backup.
The regular Nano doesn't have a screen either.
Say again?
The Nano doesn't have a screen either. It's just as simple.
The Nano does have a screen.
No, the Nano has.
Yeah, they don't sell the other Nano anymore. The little chip thing, they don't sell that anymore. It's either the Ledger Blue or the Ledger Nano S. But it's too complicated, trust me. I'm looking for people who rank beginners who want a set of rails to get from zero. And you can start branching out into more complicated stuff after the fact. But again, my responsibility is to make sure people just go from A to B to C and then on from there, Any more questions? What time is it? Here. Let's see. I think we're about there. Let's see who's up next. So 3 o'clock, our loop are going to come and talk about the powered crowdsourced engineering. So if you've got more questions, come and see me. Otherwise, come back at 3 and see our loop. Thanks very much.